Hi everybody, how you doing? Today is Wednesday, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. I know I am. We are broadcasting live once again on Facebook and over on Instagram today. I see some people checking in on Instagram. We got Ryan, Antonio, Turkey Slayer. It's that time of the year, Turkey Slayer. We've got Italian checking in with us, Ciao. We got Chance checking in, Alfred, Dialed, Lawton. Got a bunch of people right now logging on Facebook as well. Thank you for joining me for part 3. This is part 3. The Realist One, how you doing? Good to see you today over on Instagram. Thank you for joining me for part 3 of Ike's Fishing Basics 101. We've been talking the last 2 days about why it's a great time to go fishing right now. Why it's great. We got Portugal checking in with us over on Instagram. We got Ricky Edwards checking over on Facebook. Russell Ray checking on Facebook. Jose, how you doing, Jose? Jordan over on Facebook. We've got Ben on Instagram. We've got Cade Jones. What's up, bro? We got Adam checking in on Instagram. A lot of people checking in with us right now. Let me remind you, this is part 3 of Ike's Fishing Basics 101, and it's going to start getting good. It's going to start getting good now. So you tuned in for a good one. The first day, on Monday, we talked about why fishing. Why go fishing? And especially for people watching this, people listening or watching this live or down the road over the next couple weeks or months. Why fishing? And the first day we talked about so many reasons why to go fishing. But the number one reason, it's fun. It's exciting. It's relaxing. It's one of the last great sports to connect you with nature. Danny, what's up? Rick, Jeff, Craig checking in with us. What's up? Fishing NYC, how are you? I appreciate it. Thank you very much. D. Pratt. Fishing's a great sport. The second day, yesterday, if you tuned in, you watched as we talked about how basic the equipment is to get started in this sport. We had a lot of people watching yesterday that never fished before in their life, or they fished as a kid. Now they're adults. Now they're grown up. Unlike other sports, fishing's easy. It's easy to start. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You can get started at a very basic level and enjoy the sport. That leads us up to today. And today, I'm looking on my prompt sheet here. Today, we're going to be talking about preparing that basic fishing gear, right? You went out, you've got a very basic rod and reel, you've got some line, you've got a tackle box, you've got some gulp and power bait. You're ready to fish. But what do I do? What do I do before I go fishing? Preparing your fishing tackle. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. I got Miguel over on Facebook checking in. We got Gary Yang. Once again, we had a shout out to Gary yesterday. Shout out again today to Gary Yang. Steve Weber in the house. How you doing, Steve? We got Bass Boy checking in over on Instagram. For those of you just checking in, Steve said he's a little late. Steve, we're Ike's Fishing Basics 101 again. This is day 3. We're talking about preparing your tackle. And we're going to simplify everything. So when you're fishing for the first time, or you're taking a kid fishing for the first time, or your nephew, or your aunt, or your niece, we're going to make it easy to go fishing and enjoy the sport. That's what this is all about, okay? I'm going to get right to it today, and we're going to look at the rod and reel, and we're going to talk about how to put on line, okay? we're going to talk about how to put line on. If you tuned in for yesterday's, you know we talked about you don't have to spend a lot of money on a combo, a rod and reel combo. A lot of good combos out there nowadays for not a lot of money. For 20 to 50 bucks, you can get a really good rod or reel. Okay, so we talked about that yesterday. And we talked about two kinds of rods and reels. A spin cast, which they call closed face reel, spin cast reel, and a spinning reel, open faced reel, spinning combo. Both of these reels, if you're fishing for the first time, these are good choices, especially the spin cast. It's a great choice if you've never fished before. A lot of these combos, and by the way, these are the Ike Dude combos. This combo is $39, so you don't have to spend a lot of money. They're both light action. They're 5.5 foot to 7 foot long, light action, medium light action, and perfect for any species you're fishing for. Even if the fish is little, if it's a bluegill or a little bluefish or a little perch or a small bass, they're going to fight hard on this light tackle. So if you're fishing for the first time, get light tackle. A lot of these combos, I want to show you this. A lot of these combos, including the Ike Dude combos, already come with line spooled on them. That's great for a beginner, right? We've already got it on there. It's on a little tab. We use Berkley Trilene. We're using 6 and 8 pound tests. So the line's already on there. But some combos come with no line. So we're going to teach you real easy. Again, don't be intimidated. If you're watching this and you've never fished before, don't be intimidated by this, okay? Don't be intimidated. It's easy to put line on. We got Germany checking in. Germany, how you doing today? Okay, so here we go. Line choice. Line choice. If you missed yesterday's live, we talked about for first-time anglers, if you're fishing for the first time, or you're teaching someone to fish for the first time, you're teaching a kid how to fish, make it easy. Don't go crazy. Berkley monofilament is great. Trilene XL is great. Berkley Sensation is great. Go with lighter pound tests. Anywhere from 4 to 10 or 12 pound tests is perfect for what we're going to do. This is 6. I love 6 pound tests for this kind of fishing. For beginners fishing for the first time, 6 pound test is great. And when you take that spool out of the box, out of the pack, that line, it's got a little sticker on it here. It's got a little sticker that holds the line. You peel that off. I leave it here so I don't lose it. And you're going to see the line is getting ready to, it's just coming off the spool. Okay? It's coming off the spool. So this thing right here, you can grab that line off of that brand new spool. Grab that line and set this down for now. You can set it down. I'm going to set it right down here. You can set it on the table. You can set it on the floor. Set that down, but hold that tag end of that line, okay? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to thread that line through the guides toward the reel, okay? So if you're old like me, you might need your readers, contacts. I don't know. A lot of young people watching, you don't need contacts or readers. But we're going to thread it through. And look, all I'm doing is going through the holes right there, which are the guides. Okay? We're going through the guides. And I'm threading it down the rod. Start it with that top guide. I'm about halfway down. I'm at the bottom guide now. And now I have this line. The line's through the guides, and I'm at the reel now, okay? On this one, I took the line off of it because I wanted to show you how to do it. But again, the Ike Dude combos come with line on them. So look at this reel. This is a spinning reel. And you're going to see this bail. You're going to see this little bail. It's a metal bail, wire bail. It goes up and down. Turn that bail up. Turn that bail up so the spool is exposed. And then you ready for this? Look how easy this is. Listen, we're going to tie an overhand knot. We're going to do 2 knots. That's it. We're going to go around the spool. And we're just going to do an overhand knot. Look, 1, 2. Look at that. That's all we did. So we tied it to the spool. We did a simple overhand knot, a double knot. And we're going to get our scissors and we're going to trim that tag end as close to the spool as you can get it. So we don't want that little tag line messing us up. Okay, so we cut that tag line off. There you go. That's easy, right? Nothing difficult right now. Jonathan checking in over on Instagram. Chris Hall down in Virginia checking in with us. Mike Hickman from Jefferson, Texas checking in with us. Mitchell from Austin, Texas checking in with us. Darren Porter, what's up? Over on Instagram, we got Mosier Boy checking in. Terry Bones checking in. We got Dan checking us in. Okay, move to the right a little bit. Okay, Dan, sorry about that. We've got Ben checking in. Got a lot of people checking in on Instagram and Facebook. Okay, so all I did was thread the line through the guides. Real simple. Thread the line through the guides. I tied a double knot to that empty spool. Before I did that, I made sure my bail was flicked back. Okay, now we're going to start to reel that line in off of the spool. Okay, here it goes. Listen, if you're watching right now, pay attention because this is an aha moment. Before we reel that line in, grab it with your index finger. And as you start to reel that line in, notice what direction that reel's putting the line on. Look at it. Watch. Who knows? Who knows what direction the line's going on the spinning reel? Who knows? Somebody give me an answer. It's going on clockwise. It's putting it on clockwise, okay? So before you start reeling it in, look at your spool. And again, listen, you can put this spool, just lay it on a table, lay it on the ground. You can put it on a shelf. You could have your friend hold it if you have a friend with you. But I want you to make sure that the line coming off of this spool is coming off counterclockwise. Okay, listen. The reel puts it on clockwise, so you want this line to come off of this counterclockwise, the opposite way. You want the line coming off of this spool counterclockwise because this reel puts it on clockwise. Okay? Again, lay it on the floor, lay it on the table. And here we go. I just hold the line with my index finger and I just start reeling it in. My reel is putting it on clockwise and it's coming off of that filler spool of Berkeley Trilene or Sensation counterclockwise. And I'm just going to reel it in. It's coming through the guides. It's going through my fingers. Look. Going onto that reel nice and even. Look at it putting that line on real even. Okay? And we're going to reel it in. I'm not going to fill this whole reel right now. But we're going to fill it up 1/8 of an inch. 1/8 of an inch to the edge of the spool. Okay? 1/8 of an inch. So when you're looking at that spool, go ahead and fill it about 1/8 of an inch to the edge of the spool. Great tip number 2 for a spinning combo is never overfill the spool. I see so many people, they get their line and they reel it all the way to the edge of the spool. And when they go to cast, big backlash, okay? So leave at least 1/8 of an inch empty on that spool. Or you don't even have to do that. Fill it halfway. If you're a beginner, you can fill it halfway. That's fine as well, okay? I'll show you real quick on the spin cast. Let me show you real quick that if you have to fill a spin cast reel, everything's the same except this reel's a little different. This reel's got a cap on it. See that top cap? It's just a cap. It unscrews. Unscrew it counterclockwise. And you see that this spool goes up and down as you reel. Almost like a bait caster, sort of, up and down. And but you want to do everything the same. Tie your double knot. Make sure it's reeling clockwise in, so make sure it's coming counterclockwise off of the spool. After the lines, thread it through the guides. Screw your cap back on. Don't overfill it, and you're good to go, okay? So the same thing for a spin cast. Spinning, spin cast, same thing, okay? All right, listen to me. That was not hard, right? That wasn't hard. That was not hard, that first step of filling the rod with line. That was not hard at all. Never use your teeth, by the way, like I just did. Okay, so we're halfway there. We're halfway home. If you're watching for the first time, you've never fished, you've never spooled a reel, you've never went fishing, you're going to take your kid, you're going to take your father. Your father's never fished. You're going to take your mom. Don't be intimidated. This is so easy. This is so easy. It's not a lot of money. It costs hardly anything. For less than $150, you can get everything. In other sports, in golf, in skiing, in ice hockey, you can't do that for $150. In fishing, we're going to get all of it for under $150, okay? All right, so my spinning rod is spooled. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to put on a hook or a jig head or a lure. It's all the same. We're going to talk about how to put on a hook or a lure, how to add a weight and a bobber, because for a lot of beginner anglers, using a bobber, using a float is a great way to start fishing. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about baiting the hook, how to thread a bait on, a hook or a jig head. And then we're going to actually cast. We're going to show you the correct way to hold the reel and cast, okay? So let's get over to, I'm going to go over to the table here and we're going to get some hooks and some weights and we're going to start tying some stuff on for you, okay? So let's see. Okay, if you tuned in yesterday, you got to see how easy it was with tackle. Everything you need, you can fit in a tackle box or a little tackle bag. You don't need a lot of stuff. And we've got some basic stuff right here. And so let's just start with a hook, because a regular hook or a bare jig head, it's a great way to start, okay? So let's go in here and I'm going to get what I would call a medium-sized, mid-sized hook. I talked yesterday about how some of these hook packs are so good because they give you different sizes. This is a VMC panfish kit. You get size hooks from little tiny, number 12s and number 10s all the way up to a 1/0 or a 2/0. You could do a lot of stuff with that. That doesn't cost a lot. Some of the tackle boxes, like the Ike Foundation tackle box, comes with hooks and weights already in it. You buy the box and you got everything you need. That Flambeau Ike Foundation box is available at a lot of tackle stores, Tackle Warehouse, Walmart. You can get a lot of places. But here we go. We got a real basic hook for you. And this is probably about a size number 6. And it's what I would call an Aberdeen style hook. It's got a round bend. This is a standard hook. This is a no frills hook. Can do everything. Okay? Number 6, number 8, a real good size to start with. If you look at that hook, it's got an eyelet on it. You see that? Let me get it there for Instagram. The hook's got an eye. It's got a little hole in the eye of the hook. That's where we're going to attach our line, okay? That's where we're going to tie this knot. I'm going to tie it on, and then I'm going to show you the most basic knot you could ever learn. You want to know something? I still tie this knot today. 47 years old, fishing Bassmaster, FLW, Major League Fishing. I fish everything there is. I still use this basic knot. And I'm going to teach you this knot today. It's such an easy knot. And it's called an improved clinch knot. Improved clinch knot, okay? And I'm going to show it to you here, and then I'm going to get a rope and really, really be able to visually show you this knot. But we're going to go in the eye of that hook. We're going to go in the eye of the hook with that line. And there it goes, okay? Our hook is through the line. And we're going to loop the line around itself 6 to 8 times. You ready? Watch this. 1, 2, I'm looping up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6 to 8 times we're going to loop up. Cops and Bobbers, Garfield in the house. 6 to 8 times we're going to loop up that line. If you look at the bottom. We created another loop of line. You see that second loop? We're going to get our line and we're going to go through that loop. Not the eye of the hook, but the loop we created. All right? But look, you see our index finger? Look at our index finger. If I take my index finger away, I created another loop, a big loop. We're going to bring the line back through that. And that's the improved clinch, okay? So we're going through 2 loops after we go up 6 or 8 times. Grab the line with your teeth or pliers, and as you grab it, wet the line. If you're at a lake or at the water, you could dip it in the water. I just use my mouth. So I grab the line, I wet the line, and I cinch it down. Look at that. Look at that. Look how clean that knot is. Look how clean that knot is. That's the improved clinch. It's strong. It's solid. The knot won't break. It's got great knot strength. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to trim that knot not far from the eye of the hook. You can leave a little tag in there, just not a big tag end, okay? All right, so there's our hook tied on. Let me grab the rope, and I want to show you this knot again. I love this knot so much. It's such an easy knot. Improved clinch knot. What did I do with my rope? Oh, boy. Here it goes. Okay. Just going to use some red rope for you guys, and I'm going to use a little carabiner hook here. Okay? So this is our line. Make pretend in your mind that this is your fishing line, and this is the eye of the hook, okay? I'm going to show you the improved clinch knot again. We're going to put that tag in through the eye, all right? It's through the eye of the hook, and we're going to wrap the line around itself, going up toward your rod tip 6 to 8 times. Okay, you ready? Here it goes. Watch it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6 to 8 times. And when you do that, look at the loop that you created. You see that hole right there? The line to the eye of the hook? You want to take that tag end and go through that loop. And when you do that, look here. Look where your index finger's at. You created another loop. So now I'm going to take that tag end and I'm going back through that other loop. I'm going to grab it with my teeth, wet it, cinch it down. Look at that. Look at that knot. Look at that knot. Look at that knot. I'm strong and I can't break that knot. That's the improved clinch knot. Such a great knot for beginner anglers all the way up to the pro level. I think Kevin Van Dam ties that knot. And Skeet Reese. Improved clinch knot. It's a really, really good knot to tie. Okay, it's a good one. All right, let's keep going now. And if we get back to our rod and reel, we've got our little number 6 Aberdeen hook on there. And I'm a big advocate. Listen to me. If you're watching this and you've never fished, or you're going to take somebody fishing for the first time, they've never fished before, your son, your daughter, your niece, your nephew, a friend's friend, a friend's kid, using a bobber, a float, is such a good way to begin fishing. I cannot tell you enough. It's such a great way because it's so visual. It's so visual. And a lot of boxes sell, they come in kits. They already have bobbers in them. Everybody knows what a bobber looks like. They're good. They're perfect. I prefer the teardrop shape float, okay? They have them in styrofoam, cork, plastic. This is the one, I love this one. I love this one personally because of that design of that float. It's got a teardrop shape. It casts very well. It goes down easy. This particular one's got a little weight at the bottom as well to help with casting. But we're going to get this float bobber and we're going to attach it above the hook. We're going to attach it above the hook, okay? And most of these floats, and again, listen to me. I know there's people watching right now, and you might be saying, use a slip float, use a through line. Remember, we're trying to keep it easy and simple. This is our first experience fishing, or a kid's first time fishing. Leave it easy. Dana asked, what about the polymer knot? Polymer knot's a great one, especially if you use a braided line. Improved clinch, in my opinion, on mono and fluorocarbon is a better knot. But let's keep going. You ready? Simply, all you got to do, it's got an end on it that pushes down. And when you push down on that float, it's got a little eyelet that pops out. So when I push down on it, an eyelet will pop out of the bottom and it'll pop out of the top. If I use my finger to stop it from popping out on the top, I can attach it on the bottom. Okay? Look at that. I went into that hook. And now I'm going to put my finger at the bottom to stop the hook from coming out on the bottom. And I'm going to get my line and attach it on the top. All right? So here's the basic setup, right? Look. We've got a hook. We've got a bobber above it, a float above it. And we can change the length of this leader right here. The shallower the water you're fishing, the shorter you want this leader. The deeper the water you're fishing, the longer you want this leader. The great thing about these bobbers is you can change it. It's real easy to change. If you're bank fishing, you start shallow, leave a little bit. You walk down the bank a little bit, you get a new spot, it's deeper. All I got to do is press that bobber again, unhook it. I can slide it up the line, down the line, use my finger again and attach it. As a general rule, if you're watching and you don't want to even mess with this, you want that float anywhere from 10 to 20 inches above the hook. If we're looking at that right there, that's about 15 inches. 10 to 20 inches above the hook, you want your bobber or your float. Look at it. Look how basic this is so far. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to learn how to fish. It's this easy, okay? So we've got our rod. We taught you how to put line on it. We've got our hook or jig head or lure. We taught you the improved clinch knot. Real easy to tie. We talked about using a float. You could surely, if you're bottom fishing, use a split shot or a dipsy weight or whatever if you want to bottom fish. But a float is great because it's so visual with your eyes. It's visual. Okay? Now, let's keep going. Let's talk about how to rig bait or a lure on that hook. Okay? And I'll grab a couple different Berkley and gulp shapes to show you how to rig it on that hook. Michael Slater has 2 nephews watching. Shout out to you guys. I hope you already like the fish. If you don't, please get your Uncle Michael to take you fishing as soon as he can. It's a fun sport. You're going to have a great time doing it. Okay. Hook, 10 to 20 inches, float. Now let's add the bait. Let's add the bait. Let's see what we got here. All right, I just grabbed a couple. And again, if you were on yesterday's live broadcast, you heard me talk about how you don't need live bait anymore. When I was a kid, way back in the 80s, 70s and 80s, live bait was great. Live bait was the deal. But live bait's messy. You got to keep it alive. You got to keep it cold. The bait dies. The bait starts stinking. It's not good. This is the new live bait. And if you're watching, I'm sure you've already used gulp. You know how good it is. For saltwater, freshwater, anything that swims, they love gulp. Power bait's the same way. And it's available in so many different shapes and colors. I really, really love the Berkley gulp shapes that look like real bait. And I'll show you a couple of my favorites right here. We have a couple that look like actual worms. We have a floating trout worm right here. We have a fat worm right here. I love the gulp that looks like actual little minnows. And a lot of that you can get in a little jar. It's the gulp minnows. They sell it all the way down to small little sizes. I love that stuff. They even have it in shapes that look like bugs, crawfish, insects. This is the gulp hellgrammite. Another great shape. This stuff is better than live bait. If you've never fished before, you don't want to mess with live bait, it's easy. Get gulp. It's very inexpensive, okay? Let's just get this little fat worm, this gulp fat worm, and take one out and show it to you and show you the rigging options on the hook. And it's real simple, right? Take that worm out. Look at it. It actually looks like a real little earthworm, right? It looks like a real little small nightcrawler or small earthworm. It's real flimsy. It's almost wet. It's got a wet texture to it. It stinks. It smells. If it's in the bag, you're okay. But once you have it out, it stinks. And this worm will catch everything that swims. Listen to me on this. panfish, crappie, bluegill, perch, rock bass, bass, pickerel, pike, catfish, walleye, anything that swims, carp. Even in saltwater, as you go to the gulp shapes that are maybe a little bigger, the gulp minnows, 3-4 inch gulp minnows in saltwater, the gulp crabs in saltwater, redfish, trout, little snook, anything, snapper species, anything that swims, flounder. Gulp's great, okay? And I'm going to give you 2 rigging options. This is so easy. And the first rigging option, if you're a bass angler and you're watching this, you already know, but we call it wacky style. Wacky style. And that's literally hooking that worm right in the middle of the bait. On the gulp worm, there's a little egg sac or a fat spot in that worm that marks the middle. Makes it easy. You don't even have to guess. And I'm going to take that little hook, number 6 hook, and I'm just going to rig it right in the middle. Look at it. Look at it. It looks like a little hot dog, doesn't it? Little hot dog. Looks like a little hot dog. But when you have this in the water, it's got a lot of action to it. With a bobber, with a float, on a jig head. As the water moves, as the waves move, and if you're using a float, you know, Carson, hello. Homeboy Fishing, hello, over on Instagram. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. If you're using a float, the float moves with the wind, with the current, with the waves. And when that float moves, that worm moves. Look at it. And if you're a bass angler and you're watching, you're like, that's what I throw with my Berkeley General. That's what I throw with the Senko. Same deal. It's a wacky rig, and you get a tremendous amount of movement. And I love to fish a lot of these baits like that. Okay, so you can rig it wacky style. The other way we can rig it, and for this one, I'm going to use Berkeley Power Bait, and this is another shape that is so easy, catches everything that swims. I want to show it to you because I've caught so many fish in my life on this shape. It's called a grub. It's called a grub. This is a Berkeley Power Bait Power Grub. They come in sizes from 1 inch up to 4 or 5 inches. Everything that swims will hit that Berkeley grub, Berkeley Power Bait grub. It stinks too. It smells really bad, which is good for the fish. And the second way we're going to rig our gulp or our power bait is by threading the lure. Threading the lure. And this one's easy too, okay? On this one, we've got our little number 6 gold Aberdeen hook. We're going to get our grub. And if you see on a grub, on these style lures, curl tail lures, little swim baits, little shad baits, it has a body and a tail. We're going to get the point of that hook and start in the body. And all we're going to do is thread it up the shank of the hook. We're actually going to thread, okay? This is by the way, this is, I guess that's the 2 inch power grub. Might be 3 inch. I think it's 2 inch. We're going to thread it. Look, watch it go up as we thread it. It starts to take the shape of the hook. Look at that, Instagram. Look at that, Facebook. We're going to thread it until we get to the tail. We're going to thread it through the body until we get to the tail. Big curl tail, little tail, whatever the tail is. And before we get to that tail, we're going to push it out of the body. We're going to pull it up the shank of the hook. And look at that. Look at that beautiful rigging method right there. And it's called threading. You could do that with a jig head. You could do it with a lot of different style hooks. You could thread the hook on there. And once again, when you cast that out there, if you're using a split shot, or a big weight or a bobber, as you move it, and again, the wind, the waves, a lot of times will move it for you. That bait threaded on there, that tail's constantly moving. If you're reeling it, it's swimming, the tail's kicking. It looks alive. All this stuff. Look at this stuff. It actually looks alive. And it fools the fish into biting. Okay? It fools the fish into biting. All right, so there's rigging, right? We talked about using gulp, using power bait, wacky rigging, which is just hooking the bait right in the middle, threading, which is great for a bear hook or a jig head. Threading is good. We talked about a float. We've got the line on there. We're going to talk about detecting the bite, learning that bite on Friday. So if you're watching right now and you're saying, oh man, this is all great, but what does a bite look like? What happens when a fish bites? Friday's the day. Friday's going to be fun because we're going to get on the water on Friday. We're actually going to go fishing on Friday. So I'm going to talk more on Friday about what the bite looks like with that float, okay? But we've covered spooling the rod. We've covered putting a hook on. We've covered putting the float on. The last thing I want to do today, listen, if you're watching right now, don't tune out yet because we got some good stuff coming still. The last thing I want to tell you today is practice casting. We're going to practice some casting. Here's the great thing about this right now. Listen to me. Listen to me. This is another aha moment of this live right now. Casting, practice casting in itself is really, really fun. It's fun for adults, for teenagers, for kids. Practice casting is fun. It's really fun. I do it still. I do trick shots all the time. So I'm gonna show you how to practice cast. The other great thing about practice casting is you can do it when you can't go fishing. If it's raining, if it's a thunder and lightning storm, if it's windy, if you're stuck at home, if you're in quarantine, like right now, right? We're in a weird time. Strange, unprecedented time. Global pandemic. What a great time to practice casting if you're not allowed to go fishing. If you're a state that they're not letting you fish, if you're a country where you can't fish, I think that's bull. But if you can't fish right now, practice casting. It's a great time. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to show you both on a spinning and the spin cast, but I want to show you how easy it is to cast. And again, if you're watching this right now, if you're 80 years old, or you're 60, or 40, or 30, or 20, or 5, 10, and you've never fished, don't be intimidated. This is easy. You don't have to be 6 foot tall. You don't have to be 250 pounds. You can be any size, any age, any gender, any race, from any part of the world. You can learn how to cast. It's so easy. Okay? Here we go. We've got our spinning rod and reel, and you always want to hold this rod and reel with the spinning reel facing down. I see a lot of people do this. You can probably still do that, but the correct way to hold it is with the spinning reel. Remember, spinning reel, got the bail, it's open-faced. The spinning reel should be down. I want you to watch how I put the rod and reel, put the combo in my hand. And I want to grab the reel and split my fingers. All right, watch this. You can split it between your ring finger and your pinky finger, your index and your middle, your index and your middle, any of these work. You want to split the reel. And when you do that, it's comfortable. It feels good. This is, I'm going to say it again. This is the Abu Garcia Ike Dude combo. It's a $39 combo. We've got EVA foam on it. It's comfortable. When you grab that, that's the correct way to hold the rod. That's the correct way to hold the rod and reel. Okay? The next thing we're going to do, and remember, this is for casting. The next thing we're going to do is we have to, you see this line? On a spinning reel, an open face reel with a wire bail, we have to grab that line with our index finger before we cast, okay? So look, nice comfortable grip. You see my index finger? Look at it. I know you see it. It's right near the line. So I want to grab that line with that index finger. Look at that. Look what I'm doing. I'm going to grab that line with the index finger. Now I've got the line. I'm holding the line with my index finger. And I want to hold it there. The next thing I want to do, and again, this is for a spinning reel. We're going to do spin cast in 1 second. Next thing I want to do is I want to open that bail. I want to open it up. And I'm going to use my other hand now. Okay? You can go either way. If you're right-handed, left-handed, doesn't matter what side you hold the rod. I'm right-handed, so I'm holding that line with my right hand and my right index finger. Now I'm going to use my left hand and I'm going to open that bail. Okay, I'm going to do it again so you can see it. I'm going to get my right hand and I'm going to pull back that metal bail so there's nothing impeding the line from coming off of that reel, that spool now. Okay, so there you go. Index finger holding the line, nice comfortable grip. I've pulled the bail back. And now I'm going to make my cast, okay? Before I make my cast, listen, you're going to let go of this line that you're holding with your index finger at the point to which the bobber or the lure or the bait starts getting forward momentum. So as that thing starts to go forward, just like you're throwing a baseball. Imagine you're throwing a baseball or a football, right? As that ball starts to move forward, you're going to let go of the line with your index finger. It's going to take practice, right? Listen to me. Don't be intimidated. If you've never fished before and you're watching this, do not be intimidated. Couple practice rounds, you're going to get it. Bails click, index finger is holding the line. Bails click back. You're going to pretend you're throwing a baseball. At the point at which the bobber or the lure or the bait starts going forward like a ball, you're going to let go of that line with your index finger, okay? And here it goes. Here it goes. Ready? Watch this. Here it goes. Watch me let go of the line as it moves forward. Ready? Here it goes. And it's going to go out. The weight of that lure, the weight of that bobber or that split shot or whatever is going to carry that bait out. And you're going to be able to cast. After the bobber or weight or lure hits the water, we want to close that bail back up. A lot of people use the handle of the spinning reel to do it. If you're just learning, I want you to do it with your hand manually, just like you opened it. It's going to save you some line twist issues, okay? So take the bail, close the bail, and after you close the bail, before you start reeling, just make sure the line is under that roller. That's the roller. That's the roller right there. Make sure the line's under the roller. And then start to reel. And you're ready to go. Okay, so casting, very, very simple. I'll show you again really, really quick. Nice, comfortable grip. right? Split your fingers. Nice, comfortable grip. Grab the line with your index finger. Pull the bail back. At the point at which it gets forward momentum, let go of the line with your index finger. Boom. Goes way out there. Hits the water. Click the bail back by hand. Make sure the line is under the roller. And reel in your slack. And again, on Friday, we're going to really talk about what to do with once the lure, the bobber gets out there. We're going to, on Friday, explain what to do. But that's the general casting. Real quick on spinning, this is one thing I want to touch on, and then I'll go to spin cast, is the drag. And on most spinning reels, you're going to see this dial at the top of the spool. When you turn clockwise, you're tightening your drag. If you go counterclockwise, you're loosening drag. Listen to this. You hear that? Listen. You hear that noise? Set that drag so that when you pull on it with your hand, it comes out. You don't want it, when you pull it, you don't want it to just, scream out. But you want to set it so that if something's putting tension on, if you're fishing and you get a big bass on or a big catfish or a big carp, you want that carp to be able to take it, okay? So set it so that it just barely comes out as you pull it. That's called the drag. All right, let's get to a spin cast. And I don't have one spooled up all the way, but we're going to show you how to cast this one too. Real quick, the drag on a spin cast reel is different. Instead of it being on the top of the spool, on a spin cast, there's a little dial right in front of the reel. Again, this is the Abu Garcia Ike Dude combo, $39 combo. Get it at Tackle Warehouse, Walmart, places like that. You're going to see a plus and a minus. And you can adjust that drag to get that same, you barely, when you pull on it, you want it to come out. Listen. Right? So you want some drag, okay? So set that drag. But on a spin cast reel, listen, this is a big difference. You ready? We're not going to hold this one so the reel is on the bottom. We're going to hold this one so the reel is on the top. This is a spin cast. This is a closed-faced reel. We want to hold it so that the reel is on the top. The other way, easy way to remember on this combo, and again, if you're fishing for the first time, if you've never ever fished in your life, even as a kid, this is a great reel to start with because it's so easy to cast. But the other way we're going to know that it's a spin cast and to have it on the top is that little trigger. You see that trigger on the rod? And that trigger is a place to put your finger, okay? So just like the spinning reel, we want to hold this and we want to split our fingers around the rod and use that trigger as a guide. And it makes it very comfortable to cast, okay? So on this one, I'm going to put it between my my middle finger and my ring finger, okay? Grab it. Nice, comfortable grip. Look at that. Reel on the top. Spin cast. On this one, when we cast, listen, this one's great because there's no bail. There's no bail. It all comes out of this closed reel. It's got a push button. They also call these push button reels, right? Because of that button. That button is the bail and our index finger on the line of that spinning reel, all in one motion. So all you're going to do is, on this one, use your thumb, push down that button and hold it down. Hold it down. The biggest mistake I see with anglers using a spin cast for the first time is they push the button and they let it go. And then their bobber and their lure and weight just drop. And what happened? Okay? Push that button with your thumb and hold it there. Hold it. That's just like your index finger holding the line on a spinning reel. Hold it tight. Same thing. It's like throwing a ball. It's like throwing a baseball, throwing a football, throwing a frisbee. When we go to make that casting motion, when that lure, that bobber, that weight, that hook, that bait, when it starts hitting forward momentum, right? It's gone around your rod and it's launching forward. It's shooting out. When it reaches forward momentum, let go of your thumb. Okay? So hold it down, come back, cast at the point at which it reaches forward momentum, let go. Let go of that thumb bar. Your line's going to go out. Your bait's going to go out. The great thing about a spin cast, there's no bail. So after it hits the water, all you do is, look, you ready? There's your handle. All you do is you click over and you're ready to go. You're ready to fish. That's the casting for spin cast. Listen, once again, practice at home, especially now. A storm comes through. It's cold. It's winter. You can't go fishing. We're in a global pandemic. You can't go fishing. Practice casting. It's a great time. Set it up in the backyard. Set it up in your garage. Set it up in a living room, in a basement. Set up targets. Use a bucket. I like to use a bucket or a pot or a pan, an empty water bottle. You can play target practice with this. It's fun for kids too. Something you want to do right now, set up targets. Have them try to hit the targets. It's really fun. But practice casting while you can. Both spinning and spin cast. Do a little practicing. Listen, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Had a great crowd over on Instagram, and of course, a giant crowd on Facebook again. I can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. We talked today about preparing your fishing gear. Monday, we talked about why to go fishing. Why were we fishing? Tuesday, we talked about getting the right fishing gear, making it easy. Today, we talked about preparing it, getting it ready, doing a little practice casting at home. We got 2 more days of this, guys and girls. 2 more days. At 2 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, we'll be back right here on Facebook. We'll be back right here on Instagram Live. And we're going to be continuing Ike's Fishing Basics 101. Tomorrow, we're going to be in the office. I'm going to be in my office tomorrow. And we're going to talk about, you ready for this one? Finding a fishing spot. We're going to talk about finding a fishing spot tomorrow, okay? We're going to talk about that. Going to be in the office. We're going to talk about how to find a location. We're going to talk about the things you need to think about before you go. And we're going to talk about licensing a little bit. If you're 16 years or older in most states, you have to have a fishing license. We're going to discuss all that tomorrow, okay? Before I go, let me remind everybody, and again, I want to stop and say this real quick. We are in a strange time. Unprecedented, weird time, scary time. A lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of fear, including me, including my family. I mean, everybody's in the same spot. But during this strange, weird time, if you're allowed to fish, if you are allowed to go outdoors, federal and state officials say you can go self-quarantine and self-isolate in the great outdoors. What a great time to go fishing right now. What a tremendous time to go fishing. It's the kind of sport that connects you with nature. It's the kind of sport that you're outside, you're breathing fresh air. You can do it by yourself or in small groups. You can keep social distancing, 6 feet. You can't do that at the mall. You can't do that at a soccer arena, a baseball arena. You can't do it at bowling alley. You can't do it at an arcade. You can't do it at a pub. But you can do it fishing. You don't need a boat even. You have a boat, that's awesome. I have a bass cat, I love it. A kayak, great. A canoe, a john boat. Bank fishing. Doesn't matter. Get outside. Enjoy nature. Enjoy the great outdoors. If you have kids, if you have children that have never experienced fishing, please, I beg you, take them. Let them try it. Let them experience fishing. Create a connection with your children to the great outdoors, to nature. It's a very rare thing. It's going away these days. Try it, okay? Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Can't wait to visit with you tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be back here. We'll be talking about picking fishing locations, how to find a fishing spot. We'll be talking a little bit about licensing and last-minute things you need before you hit the water. And on Friday, we get to go fishing. And there you have it. Thank you, everybody, over on Instagram. Appreciate that. Thank you. I'm saving this feed over there right now. Want to thank everybody on Facebook. Be safe. I hope you have a great day and a great week. Be safe. Thank you.